Leadership is actually about being a leader. Leadership is about responsibility. You may wonder, do I need to learn leadership if I don't want to be a leader? Once a young man asked me the same question. I was giving a speech at a business school at the time, and the topic was leadership. A MBA student stood up and asked, "I'm not interested in being a leader, what should I do?" I used a question to answer him. I asked him, "Are you interested in responsibility?" He seemed to understand something and said, "Yes." I said, "If you are interested in responsibility, if you want to take on more important responsibilities, you need to demonstrate leadership. The first thing you need to know about leadership is that it is about responsibility. This is not just my emphasis, many people emphasize this point. Management guru Peter Drucker once said, "Leadership is not a title, privilege, position, or money. Leadership is responsibility. Leadership is about solving problems, and the responsibility of leadership is to take on the responsibility of solving problems. However, not all problems are the responsibility of leadership. It is the problems that you cannot solve alone, the problems that you need to solve with a group of people. This is the problem that leadership faces." Gandhi's leadership. Let me give you a very familiar example, Gandhi. If you ask famous scholars who study leadership around the world this question, who is the greatest leader of the 20th century? Give 3 names. I guess Gandhi will definitely be one of the 3. Gandhi is recognized as one of the greatest leaders of the 20th century. He led India's independence movement, and the way he led this movement was very unique. We have all learned about it in middle school textbooks. It's called nonviolent resistance. Gandhi launched a nonviolent resistance movement in India, which led India to independence. But you need to pay attention, this problem was not solved by Gandhi alone, it was solved by Gandhi leading many people together. Countries have problems, organizations have problems, families have problems, and companies have problems. Every group has problems that need to be solved. It may be a problem like India's independence, or it may be a problem of promoting a new performance policy, opening up a new product market. These problems are problems that one person cannot solve alone. The essence of leadership is to take on the responsibility of solving these problems. The number one misunderstanding about leadership is about solving problems. Leadership is about taking responsibility. This sentence sounds simple, but in fact, many people do not know this. There are many misunderstandings about leadership. The MBA student we just talked about misunderstood leadership as being equal to a position. Many people have this misunderstanding, not just young MBA students, even company presidents may have this misunderstanding. I was teaching a class for a group of presidents, and one student said, "We are sitting here today because it proves that we have leadership." You can understand his logic. He thought, we are sitting here today because we are presidents, and we can become presidents, which proves that we have leadership. I told him at the time, "You are sitting here today, which does not prove that you have leadership, it only proves that you have a leadership position." There is a leadership guru in the United States named John Maxwell. He was originally a pastor, and later became a very influential leadership guru. Maxwell once said, "If I have to define the number one misunderstanding of people about leadership, it is that they think leadership comes only from having a position or title." This misunderstanding is not only in the United States, I think it may be more serious in China. You know, when we talk about leadership in China, it generally refers to the person who holds the leadership position. If I ask you, who is the leader of your company? You will definitely say the person who holds the leadership position. The relationship between leadership and leadership position. It is important to note that holding a leadership position does not necessarily equate to possessing leadership skills. Leadership position is not synonymous with leadership. However, there is a close relationship between the two. I often use the analogy of leadership is like love, and leadership position is like marriage. Love does not equal marriage, just as leadership does not equal leadership position. Despite their differences, love and marriage are closely related. Similarly, leadership and leadership position are closely related. The close relationship between the two can be summarized in 2 sentences. Leadership is the responsibility of a leadership position, and a leadership position is the resource of leadership. Leadership is the responsibility of a leadership position. For example, if you are the human resources director of a company, you hold a position that requires you to solve the company's human resources problems. Similarly, if you are the sales director, your position requires you to solve the problem of selling products. Your position is given to you to solve the corresponding problems and to bear the corresponding responsibilities. A leadership position is the resource of leadership. The organization provides you with a position that comes with corresponding power and resources to help you solve problems more effectively. I believe that leadership is the responsibility of a leadership position. However, have you ever considered that even if you do not hold a leadership position, you can still take on the responsibility of leadership? The responsibility of leadership is to solve problems. Even if you do not hold a leadership position, if you solve problems, you are demonstrating leadership skills. For example, Gandhi did not hold the position, but he always took on the responsibility of solving problems and successfully solved the problem of Indian independence. Gandhi did not hold the position, but he possessed leadership skills. The difference between leadership and leader. As we mentioned earlier, in Chinese, we generally refer to people who hold positions as leaders. However, there is another word in Chinese that refers to people who truly demonstrate leadership skills, and that is leader. A leader is someone who truly leads others to solve problems. Sometimes it is said that one person is the leader of your team, but another person is the true leader of your team. Gandhi is a typical example of this. He was not a leader, but he was a leader. Therefore, a more accurate term for leadership is actually leadership. However, we also have a misunderstanding of the word leader. We tend to exaggerate and mythologize it. We must remember that a true leader is someone who takes on responsibility and leads others to solve problems. The focus of our course is on studying leaders, not just leadership positions. The study of leadership in academia generally focuses on individuals who hold leadership positions. This differs from the traditional approach of academic research in leadership, which tends to focus on the concept of leadership itself. One of the most renowned business schools in the world is Harvard Business School, whose current dean is Nitin Nohria, who assumed the position in 2010. I had the opportunity to meet him before he took office, during my attendance at the annual leadership forum hosted by Harvard Business School, which Nohria co-founded. Nohria's appointment as dean was somewhat surprising, as he is an Indian national. While this was somewhat unexpected, it was not entirely unprecedented, as Indians hold high positions in both the American business and academic communities. What was truly surprising was that he is a scholar of leadership. In American business schools, the study of leadership is not highly regarded, primarily because the academic community views leadership research as difficult to quantify and not sufficiently scientific. Nohria's appointment marked the first time in Harvard Business School's history that a scholar of leadership was appointed as dean. A professor of leadership at Harvard Business School confided in me that Nohria's appointment might elevate the status of leadership research in the future. The low status of leadership research in academia is due to the belief that leadership is not important. To understand this belief, we must examine the most classic quantitative study in the history of leadership research. This study was not conducted by leadership scholars, but by 2 sociologists, and was published in 1972. They studied 167 American companies to determine the factors that had the greatest impact on company performance. Their findings revealed that the CEO had the least impact on company performance. Subsequent research has not fundamentally challenged this conclusion. Some have concluded that leadership is not important based on these studies. However, I believe this conclusion is incorrect because the study's subjects were flawed. They studied leadership, not leadership qualities. You can say that who leads is not important, but you cannot say that leadership is not important. To truly understand what leadership is, we must study leaders, not just those who hold leadership positions. We must study those who have truly demonstrated leadership qualities, whether or not they hold leadership positions. For example, Gandhi. What do they have in common? They all take responsibility and solve problems, not alone, but with a group of people. How do they do it? That is the theme of this course.